Hello everyone, we are Tottenham TV here. I just want to start this stream by saying that obviously we heard the tragic news this morning that Claude from AFTV has sadly passed away, which is really sad news from our end. We've met him numerous times and he's always been really like a proper gentleman. He's always been happy to help us. Even when we were a very small channel, he was always more than willing to give up his time to help us grow and help us create content with him, and it was always a great pleasure meeting him and creating content with him, and we just want to send our condolences to all his friends, his close friends, his family, and everyone at AFTV as well, who are obviously suffering from his passing. So just want to make that statement. And
Yeah, I mean, Spurs Arsenal aside, he was someone that I could look at and I could respect as a football fan and a human, as a real, just a good person, good soul, And I think actually out of the AFTV lot, I had to say I've always liked him because he was always honest as well. And that takes a lot for someone just to really be honest in their punditry. And I really respected him. I really liked watching him. And it's sad, it's really sad because I would have happily had a pint with him. I would have loved that. Really would have done.
And I think it's an important moment for the whole football community, especially on Twitter, like the football social media community, to just maybe take a moment and just reflect on maybe what the community is like at the moment, and like maybe elements of the toxicity and how it can affect people. And it's important to have that conversation. And I think it's obviously a moment now to have that conversation for everyone. But I just thought we'd start by having that said that about Claude. But John, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. It's sunny out there today, so
very hot.
Like
it's very hot in here. Yeah, it's finally
even hotter in here. Yeah,
with these lights beaming down.
Don't know why the guys love it hot in here. I walk in, it's like I'm drenched with sweat, and they're like, "Nah, it's fine." I don't know how sure.
How are you holding up during international break? How's that been for you?
I can't be bothered with it, to be honest with you. At least the players get a rest. But to be honest with you, I couldn't care less about internationals.
Did you ever see that video of Harry Redknapp a few years ago saying that like he was asked about the international break and how he is for England, if he cares about England? He was like, well, I was watching England play some random team the other day, and they were like, well, the goalkeeper has his supermarket shift in like a few hours or something like that. He's like, why am I watching this?
Really?
This
he
is
said
like,
that?
Something like
he wanted to be England manager at
one
one
point.
How can you say that?
Yeah, but he said it was so boring. It's like the international break is so boring. Like, why the games are useless. He said England always have 10 out of 10 qualifying matches. They always smash it out, win every game, and then it comes to the tournament, they can't do anything, and it's just useless.
Has this always been like this for you? Because for me, I kind of lost interest with England in around 2006. I haven't really bothered really, and obviously in the World Cup I was supporting us. When we got to semi-finals, but for me I lost a lot of that patriotism.
When 2006?
I don't know. Yeah, around that time I think. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same for
I
anyone else.
actually agree, because I remember for that tournament I was proper up for it, and then we went out on penalties and we got embarrassed in 2010 against Germany, and then in 2014 we went out of the groups, and it was like, okay, clearly the players don't care.
Also because we've lost that golden generation, and I think that's when I felt really proud to be English. But I think now it's not the same, is it? This is going to be part of our debate, I think, at the same time. We were talking about this yesterday. We were talking about how I was saying how weak the squad is and the team is compared to like the mid 2000s all the way going back to maybe the 98 or something like that.
I think we have a very top heavy squad. It's one of the most top heavy squads there are, I think, at the moment. And I think when you look at the attacking options we have, I think we have a wealth of attacking options. When you think of you got Jack Grealish, you got Phil Foden, you got Mason Mount, you got Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, Harry Kane, Calvert-Lewin. Like, we got a lot of good players. Raheem Sterling, I didn't even mention. Like, really seriously talented players at the top end of the pitch.
I think only one of those would have got into the team in the mid 2000s.
Which one's that?
Harry Kane, probably.
Harry Kane. Don't think Sterling would have got in there?
Probably not.
Why?
What, over Wayne Rooney?
On the left-hand side, he would have been on the left winger. Maybe I don't know who played. We always had a problem on the left. Remember that historic problem? We had that historic problem on the left-hand side. Maybe Joe Cole. We played there a lot.
Actually, 2006 was Joe Cole.
Sterling would have been ahead.
Joe Cole was actually on fire.
I think Sterling's better than Joe Cole. I'm not sure. Actually, I think Sterling's better than Joe Cole. He is
overall, but I think at that moment, Joe Cole was insane that
Joe
year.
Cole had amazing technical ability, but the way Sterling just races past people, his dribbling ability and his ability to get in goal-scoring positions definitely is better than Joe Cole.
He blows hot and cold though, doesn't he, Sterling? I think.
Joe Cole didn't?
Yeah, but I think that year though that's when he was hot. But anyway, yeah.
But yeah, look, is this our...
I'm not loud enough apparently, Ben.
Is this England's worst squad since 2000, and I think it's a better squad than it was in 2018 when we got to the semis. I think we have a better squad now.
Yeah.
But is it worse than it was in 2006? Probably.
2000. Come on, let's just go on the first team.
No,
2006.
you're right, definitely. I think there's no debate
Full
on
of
that.
yeah, okay. Because
no
I was going to say, if you
no, you're right. There's no debate when you look at
2006. It was like full of you would say Premiership greats.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's better.
Almost all at the peak of their game as well.
Yeah, but I don't think we've had the wealth of the attacking talent we have this year that we have. I don't think we've had that previously. I think
Really?
I reckon the talent we have now is better than that squad. The attacking talent is better than 2006, where we had Rooney, Owen, and Defoe.
Yeah, and
no, Defoe
Crouch
didn't even
as
go.
well.
Remember, a 16-year-old.
Yeah, Defoe didn't even go, and they took Theo, didn't they?
A 16-year-old
Yeah.
Theo Walker went. So that
was stupid.
The thing now, would any 16-year-old get in there?
No.
No. So you got to say the attacking talent now is much better than then. You have to say that, surely.
Rooney was peak of his powers though back then.
We have Kane.
Yeah,
but
that leads us on. That leads us on, right? That actually leads us on to this.
Because Kane now, he's got 32 goals in 52 games. He's 27 years old. He's on course to become not yet. He's on course to become England's highest ever goal scorer. I think anyone would probably presume he will be. I think it's really. I don't think he will. He needs 20 more goals from now to the end of his career. 20 more to become the highest ever. I can't see a reason why he wouldn't be. I don't see any possible reason why he wouldn't be, unless
it slows down though as you get older.
But look at strikers now. Yeah, but it's different now. Rooney slowed down, but Kane isn't slowing down.
He is slowing down. He's slowing down in the Premiership.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Of course he is.
How? He's top goal scorer in the Premier League right now.
But his actual goals to game ratio is slowing down. It peaked in 2017, and it's
but he's adapted his game differently. But he's not slowing down as a player.
No, I'm saying you were talking about goal records.
Okay, is he? I think if we're judging it harshly, maybe a tad, but there's not much in it. But he's got 17 goals a season, so he's the top goal.
His goal ratio is slowing.
He's the top goal scorer in the league, though.
It doesn't matter. His overall goal ratio is slowing down. We're talking about is England. Is he going to beat the records?
Yeah.
And I don't.
Why?
Think he will.
Why would he? Why?
Because
what's going to stop him getting?
Because
doesn't
as
matter.
You get
though.
older, it's the goal ratio slows down.
It doesn't.
That does matter, and
yeah,
it does
but he needs
make a
20
difference.
goals. He needs 20 goals now.
But you'd be surprised. Everyone thought Owen was going to smash it. Everyone thought Rooney was going to do it.
Yeah, Owen's different.
Earlier.
Owen was done by the age Kane is now. Owen was already done.
Owen was already killing it up until the age of about 24, and then he got all the injuries.
Right, but Kane is 27, 28.
And I also think his injuries will catch up with him, Kane.
But I think why can't he go on to be a player like Lewandowski, who's 33 and still smashing it out? Why can't he? Why do you not think he could become that?
I just don't see it. I think he's going to slow down even more. I just see the bell curve with him, and I also don't think he's going to beat Shearer's record either.
You don't think?
I don't think.
You don't think you get another 100 more?
No.
Why not?
For the same reason.
Because he's slowing down.
These players do slow down when they get older.
But for a player to slow down,
powers,
but to be top goal scorer in the league and he's slowing down, you're saying?
Yeah, well, he's 27 now, isn't he?
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just see what happens in the next couple of years.
Look at a lot of top players recently. They're lasting longer than they did before. Rooney was already done by like 31, 32. Yeah. Owen was done by Kane's age even. Yeah. But Kane, I don't think is showing any signs of slowing down.
We'll see.
I think this season he's coming to his own. He's coming to a new level, I'd even say. He's improved on his level. Why not?
I don't think so. We talked about this before.
He's got 27 goals this season in all competitions.
That you only look at things on paper. I look at things on how, when I'm watching them play, the sharpness, like how quick they get the ball out their feet, and just their overall play. Their overall.
You don't think he's getting the ball out of his feet quickly?
He doesn't look as sharp as he did 3 years ago. He doesn't, and he doesn't get the shots off as quick enough, and he doesn't.
He's had the most shots in the league this season.
No, but he doesn't get the little snapshots off as well as he used to. He doesn't have that same quickness of feet as he used to. I think he has lost a yard of pace as well. I think he has. Look, I love him, man. Sim, I love him.
Sim always
looks at me like I've just stabbed a baby every time I dare to critique Kane. I'm not even saying he's a bad player.
But I don't think it's true what you're saying.
I think it's if people want to look at this, go and watch, pick out any game from 2016 to 2017 and just watch Kane and just watch him just watch his movement. It's just a lot quicker. It's a lot sharper. He's obviously he's a machine, Kane. He's obviously going to get you loads of goals, but for me, he just doesn't have that same level as he did.
Even if you are right, all players adapt their game when they get older to change. Exactly, but he can be just as effective as he was.
So he's I would say that he's effective this season because he's dropping into different positions all over the park, right? So from that perspective, you could say he's a more effective player. But in terms of his actual sharpness, his goal scoring ability, his ability to his pace, his explosiveness. That has come off a little bit, and I think it'd be hard to disagree with that.
I do disagree because I think he's adapted his game to be just as effective as he ever was. In fact, even more effective.
Said that though.
Yeah, but why does that make him worse? Why is that? But his goal scoring isn't slowing down in terms of. You can't say it's slowing down when he's top goal scorer in the league. You can't say that.
But I'm comparing. You can't say that. But I'm comparing it to previous seasons. His goal ratio is coming down.
But it was different season.
Yeah.
So are you? So when
goals to game ratio. Look, it works like this. So it's kind of like this, and it's been doing that.
But if you're the top goal scorer in the league, what more can you do? You want him to be the top goal scorer by like.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it more of a historical, over a series of seasons and what's happening to him.
What? That's only because the past couple of seasons. You're only saying because past couple of seasons he's had a few injuries, right?
He always has injuries every season.
This season hasn't had injuries.
Yeah, most seasons he has a big annual injury for he's out for a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months. Okay, yeah. But that's by the by. Like
he even had that and got golden boot.
Yeah, right. Okay, so he was exceptional
and
that year.
And he hasn't had that injury.
He got top goal scorer in the whole world that year. He was top goal scorer of any player. And you're saying based on those standards, he's slowing down. But I'm saying based on what I'm seeing now, where I'm comparing him to every single player in the Premier League, which is a fair comparison, you got to say, surely comparing him to every striker in the league, is that not a fair comparison?
I think this actual season, hasn't been the best in terms of the goals, overall Premiership goals.
There hasn't been
strikers goals.
Sorry,
the Premiership record, like the strikers' records this year, hasn't been that good, I don't think, compared to previous seasons.
We'll see how it ends. There's 9 games to go. It's on 17 at this stage in 29 games. Pretty good record.
It's all right, yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's only all right when you're comparing it to Ronaldo and Messi, who are like unreal. But when you're comparing it, and maybe Lewandowski as well, but when you're comparing it to other strikers, you have to say it's pretty good.
And also the thing I'd say about Kane, right? I mean, this is the thing. Don't get me wrong. I know you get defensive about Kane. It's like we all love Kane. He's one of our own. But it should be okay to critique him. But whenever you critique him, everyone gets really they take it personally as if you're attacking Spurs or something. It's okay to
but what I'm seeing is a player who's top goal scorer in the league, who's top assister in the league, who's had the most shots in the league, who's created the most chances in the league, and you're saying he's slowing down, and I'm saying that's not true.
I think he has. Yeah.
So is every player in the Premier League...
Like I said before, you're only looking at it on paper.
But John, has every player in the Premier League slowed down then, would you say? Because no one can match up to Kane. So surely, where do you rank Kane in Premier League players or Premier League? Is he the best striker in the league for you? Who's a better striker than him?
He probably could be right now.
He could be. Why not? Definitely.
I'm trying to think of what the form for the other strikers are.
There's Calvert-Lewin in good form.
Yeah, I just think there's a bit of a dearth of good strikers at the moment. So that plays a factor as well, doesn't it?
Okay, fair.
So if he was up against 5, let's say, world-class strikers, then I don't think he would be, no. But I think there is a bit of a dearth of good, high-quality strikers at the moment.
But if you've adapted your game to do a different kind of role, but you're still as effective as doing what you were doing before, I think Kane is now, why does that mean you're slowing down? Why does that mean you're just adapting your game differently and you're keeping the same standards? That's what I see.
Because I don't think you noticed, Kane's been brilliant for 50% of the games, but let's say 40% of the games this season, he's been totally anonymous, I would say. Totally anonymous.
Which games?
Most, I would say, apart from the Villa game, going back and apart from the Palace game, I'd say probably the last 2 months he hasn't looked sharp at all. And I also think that he's, I think he can be found wanting in the bigger games as well. I do believe that. And also, I mean, has he really done enough for you in the big games, Kane?
I don't look. I think the role when you're Kane as a striker, right? Your performance is a lot based on your teammates. I think because they have to feed you the ball, they have to make the runs, they have to create space for you a lot of the time. And a lot of times this season we haven't been functioning as a team. But to put that on Kane and say he's the one being anonymous, I think is not.
He hasn't
looked
fair, anonymous.
Though? Well, yeah, but the team hasn't been functioning a lot of games. So it's not fair just to put down Kane. I think even games where he hasn't scored, for example, like I remember against Man City, we didn't have any of the ball pretty much. We won 2-0, and
he had a good game.
Kane got man of the match.
Yeah,
but
he played well there.
but he didn't even he barely had any shots or anything. But that's not. But
that's
Kane
not how I judge
can
it.
still
That's not how I judge it.
But he can still make an impact.
When I watch a player, it's not just about what they're doing on paper. You know, I can actually watch what they're doing on the ball, stuff that's intangible, stuff that you can't register statistically. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at their movement. I'm looking at their touch, looking at their sharpness,
you don't think his
explosiveness.
touch is as good?
These are all the things that you can't measure with statistics, right? That's what I'm looking at when I'm judging a player. You see what I mean?
No, I understand.
So I can watch Kane and I can say you're not having a good game, but you've scored a goal. You know.
Yeah.
But he would score a goal and you would go, he's had a good game. He scored a goal. Do you see what I mean? I can actually look at a player and I can see. Then the energy's not quite right. The performance is not quite right.
But
I've seen looking at Kane. I would say that he has looked really effective. De Bruyne-like with his passing in some of the games. You know, imperious in some of the games. But there's been a lot of games where he's just looked totally anonymous, mate. There has this season, and I think that is the case. With him this season.
I mean, you could say that of a lot of players. Someone can't play well every single game. It's about how often you play well, and he plays well very, very often. And you can see by his.
Do you think he's sharp at the moment? Do you think
he's
sharp? I don't think he is sharp at the moment. I don't think he has been sharp. Ever since he got those two small ankle injuries.
I think this season he's taken on a new step of sharpness.
I think recently he hasn't looked sharp at all. I think he worked hard against Villa, and I think I didn't watch the Palace game, as I told you, but
you didn't watch the
I wasn't there for the Palace game. But I would say even the games before that, he wasn't looking sharp.
Yeah, but the Palace game, he was incredibly sharp. You don't see the goal he scored?
Well, I saw the goal in the highlights.
Unbelievable finish, and he got 2 assists as well. He got 2 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah, but it's not just about what's on paper, Sim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm sorry, you can't have.
It's not just black and white with these players. You can look at a player and see how they're playing without that.
If a player scores in every single game in the season, can they have a bad season?
Okay, if you're taking it to the extreme like that.
I'm asking you, can they have a bad season? They score in every single game.
If a player scores 3 goals in a game, can they have a bad game?
No.
Right.
You can't have a bad game if you score 3 goals in a game.
So there's going to be shades of. You only see things as black and white. I'm saying there's 50 shades of grey.
No,
there's 50 shades of grey with this stuff,
I don't see things in black and white.
Yeah, you do. I think you do because you see it as statistics. It's like only if they look good on paper.
What's the aim of football is to score more goals in your opposition. If you're doing that consistently, right, and creating things consistently for your teammates on a consistent basis, yes, you might have games where you're off it, but if you're doing that, then you're playing well. There's nothing anyone can say to say that you're not playing well. Like you're acting like Kane is like, for example.
I think he's overrated. If I'm being honest, I think he is over. I think, well, by some people anyway, he's overrated. I do believe that.
Where do you rate him?
Well, do you want to talk about the name of the title of this video? We're talking about England strikers. So you made the claim yesterday. So this is how the video starts, right? So Sim said he was the greatest English player of all time yesterday. And it caused a bit of a kerfuffle in the studio. There's a few of us chiming in, and I was like, "What? What are you talking about? The greatest English player of all time?" And I said there was probably 20 English players better than Harry Kane, and then you forced me to come up with a list straight away off the top of my head.
You could.
Yeah,
did you have it written down?
But but if we're talking about in our lifetime, and if we're talking strikers, English strikers. That's what this video is about. Yeah. So what was your claim is he's the
best English striker
of all time. Of all time. Okay. So you think he's better than Jimmy Greaves?
Okay. Well, okay. It's hard to judge. I've never said I think he's the best.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't.
Who'd you put above him?
I would say Rooney's definitely ahead of Kane, and I would also put Shearer ahead of Kane. Yeah.
But okay, but why?
Also, if you take in the whole career, it's going to be difficult to argue this. But I'd also say Michael Owen for the first, up until his big injuries, I would put him in as well.
Why?
Because he was absolutely scintillating when he first came on the scene. Absolutely, he was unplayable.
Like, he could do some amazing things, but I think so can Kane. I don't think he gets credit for that.
I don't think. When has Kane ever done it in the big games?
When has Kane ever done it in the big games? He's got a good record against the big six.
No, but in big games though.
When has Kane ever done it? I mean, look, he's got a good record.
Champions League final.
Okay.
Any FA Cup semi-finals has he done?
He scored against Chelsea in the semi-final.
Has he really showed up? Let's be honest, he doesn't show up in big games, Harry Kane. I know this is really.
He got golden boot in the World Cup.
Oh, okay. So what did he do against? He bottled it against Croatia.
He bottled it against Croatia.
He got those goals in the group stages.
Okay.
One came off his arse. Are you going to count that one?
Okay, yeah.
It was a shot from who scored? I can't remember who.
They all count. Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, Loftus-Cheek took a shot. It hit him on the arse. He didn't know anything about that. Come on. He got 2 penalties and 2 back.
Right, but Kane.
He,
he's the only striker used caveats for getting a golden boot with.
But you can't say he had a good. You can't say he had a good World Cup. He didn't, and he didn't. He didn't show up against Croatia, did he?
Who did show up against Croatia?
No one did. That's the point. So for
me. But you're saying he didn't show up, so he's
I'll give you an example.
Blame.
I'll give you an example of an England striker who does show up in big games. Gary Lineker. I'd almost put him higher than Harry Kane as well. I know Harry Kane's got a better overall game. I think he's more versatile. I think he's just got a little bit more about his game. But you could actually argue that Gary Lineker's actually shown up in the big games for England. You've got the World Cup semi-final he scored in the last 10 minutes against West Germany. You've also got FA Cup semi-final against Arsenal, scored 2 in that game. Mm-hmm. He was a big game player. Argentina, he actually got one when we got knocked out in the Maradona hand of God. But I don't see Kane show up in the same way that even like Gary Lineker did.
Look, we have to have those chances for him to show up.
I think he missed a big one against Croatia. He missed a massive chance against Croatia.
No, he was offside. The one he should have squared to Sterling. Yeah, he was offside.
But he missed anyway.
Yeah, but he was offside.
It doesn't matter. But
it was actually a great save if you slow it down. It was a great save from the keeper. Of course he should have scored, but he was offside, so it would have been irrelevant. People don't realise that. But maybe he could be doing better in the big games, but he has. But against top teams, he has a fantastic record. He has a record that rivals most of the top strikers against the top teams. He has scored in semi-finals. How many finals has he played? He played against Chelsea under Poch in his first ever final. And whatever.
I think he goes missing in big games.
He did score against Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final. And the semi-final against United, he went a bit missing. The Champions League final went a bit missing. He was injured for the Champions League run. So you could argue in the big games a couple of times he's been found wanting. But those are always the harder. How many big players? It's very rare. Finals always tend to fairs. There's not usually a lot in it, and a lot of the times, it's not always the big players who make the difference in those games. Sometimes it is, but I think Harry Kane. I think it's a bit.
I just don't see him. I think it's him show up in the crunch.
I think it's harsh to say in these very small amount of games he didn't do well. So in that instance, he's not great. For example, Messi.
I didn't say he wasn't great. I just said for
not
instance,
world class. Okay, Messi bottled the World Cup final. Does that mean he's not the best ever?
Well, that's just a one-off, though, isn't it?
I'm sure
he's played in countless finals and
but a lot of for his country for a lot of Copa America finals they've got to 3 finals and he hasn't done anything in any of them and he keeps missing penalties. Does that mean he's a bottler and he hasn't done anything? No, it's just in those games he didn't do it. Doesn't take away his achievements in other games, and that's what I feel like you're doing with Kane a lot of the time.
I just don't see him show up in those big crunch games personally. But can we talk why better than Shearer? Would you say?
I think that he's got more to his game than Alan Shearer. I think he's a more all-round player. I think he's technical ability. He's got left foot, right foot. He's more likely to score from outside the box than Alan Shearer. I think, obviously Shearer was one of the best strikers ever, but I think Kane currently is on course at the moment. If he keeps up a good goal-scoring rate, he could go on to break Alan Shearer's record. And I think over a longer time span, I know Shearer got that one Premier League, but I think Kane as a striker, the way he links up play and the way he brings other people into play, for me, takes him above Alan Shearer. In terms of pure goal scorers, it's very tight, but maybe Shearer just edges it. But in terms of all-round player, I think Kane might take it for me.
I can see the argument for an all-round player because he probably does more. He can fit into different positions on the pitch and he can be more effective. But I think as an actual striker, which is what the title of the video is, right? I think
best
Shearer,
striker, English striker. Well, not goal scorer, striker.
I think Shearer does have it. I mean, he's got 260 Premiership goals.
Yeah.
And also...
Yeah, I thought it wasn't played on paper.
But I'm pacing and leading where you're at because I know you're Googling right now, looking it up.
I'm just looking at Alan Shearer. I'm looking it up.
People often forget this, but he didn't just score 260 goals.
Yeah.
He actually scored 283 if you're including top flight goals.
Okay.
Yeah, so... That's also has to be factored in because the Premiership started in '92. So
right, he didn't get that many before the Premier League.
It was 283, I think.
He got 23 before the Premier League started.
Yeah, so it's 283.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think Kane's not going to beat that. Do you think?
283. Kane is on right now 150, 160. Sorry. and 283. I think there's a good chance he could beat that. How many goals is that? 130 more, 133 more. I mean, he's 28 now. I think Kane could play till his mid-30s, and I don't think he's on 174 if we're talking about total goals, total league goals, or top flight goals.
Are you judging it on like the goals to game ratio at the moment and just continuing that, or are you allowing for like a slight dip?
Yeah, it's the goals to game ratio at the moment.
So you think it's going to go like that, like the same?
Or he could go up and he could go down. Like he could have seasons where he scores more and he could have seasons where he scores less. Overall, but it'll balance itself out, I think.
Because at the moment, I think he's 0.68 goals to game
Something
ratio.
Like that, yeah, it's better than Shearer.
And that will just never keep going.
No, but this is better. And we're not talking about better than Shearer overall. We're talking about right now. Harry Kane is ahead of where Shearer was at this time.
I'm not sure about that actually. I'm not sure about that.
In terms of goals to game ratio, is better.
I think actually, if you look at their by the time they were the same age, 27, I think Shearer might be higher.
No, I don't think he was. I think I saw it. I saw it a few weeks ago. Kane is ahead of where Shearer was
at 27.
Yeah, yeah.
Not sure
because remember Shearer had a big injury. He was ruled out for like a year or two, wasn't he? With maybe 1 year with a ACL.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure he was, and that's why Kane was able to catch up. But I think his goals to game ratio is
at the moment, but he's still in his 20s, so you got to compensate for the fact that it's going to go down.
What I'm saying is Kane, as we've seen, he can adapt his game. So I think the way he adapts is going to allow him longevity. So I think he's going to be able to play until his mid-30s while consistently scoring goals. That's what I believe. I think now, even now, right, you're thinking, okay, he's adapted his game, he's dropping deep, he's playing these passes, but it hasn't taken away from his goal threat. He's still getting more shots than anyone. He's still getting in the box a lot. He's still the top goal scorer in the league. Like, even though he's added that assist to a game, it hasn't taken away from the other part of his game, I feel. So that's why I feel like he can adapt his game and continue to move forward in that way up until I don't see him being in his late 30s and then really struggling. I don't think so. I think he's a guy who takes care of himself really, really well. He's a top professional. He's going to work hard every single day to keep improving himself, and that's why I believe when he gets into his mid-30s, he's not going to be washed up.
Play till mid-30s.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to be washed up like Wayne Rooney. I think his Rooney I think is a different kind of animal. He was washed up by then. I think he's going to be taking better care of himself, and that's why I think right now. I
agree that he's going to be playing longer than Rooney did, because I think Rooney was more of an explosive style player, and so he burnt brightly at the beginning part of his career, and I don't see that same thing happening to Harry Kane. I see that happening to like players like Gareth Bale. We can already see it now. You know, he's sort of ending his career a little bit earlier than we would have wished, you know. But I think a player like Kane can extend his career a little bit longer. It's just whether or not he maintains that same supreme level of quality throughout his whole career. I think you're gonna have to factor in he's gonna get old. The injuries might start catching up with him, I think.
Let's read some comments. Basil Collins says, where is Shearer's World Cup medal? Where was Shearer in the big games? John, tell us. John, was Shearer good in the big games?
I think Shearer drove us through Euro 96 actually
to the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think, and he scored in the semi-final as well.
And so
I think he did. I think
Kane didn't draw us to the semi-finals.
No. He did it in the group stages.
So
that for me, that's the kind of one of the differentiating factors is Shearer really, really stepped up, and I think he was our best player in Euro 96, and I think he really drove us. He really did.
Okay, is that the only example?
No, I also think that he's a better out-and-out goal scorer.
No, I'm saying Shearer. In the big games. Do you have any examples of Shearer doing it in the big games? Or
those were big games.
I'm saying
Germany,
Euro 96.
Except Euro 96.
Okay, so he did well in Euro 96.
He's also got I hate to say it, but he's actually got a Premier League trophy, isn't he?
Okay.
So he did it in that season when it counted. And I think we bottled
so collective achievements goes down to Shearer.
Season.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not down to one individual player.
Well, no, but
over a season.
But to say he's like the greatest English striker of all time, I think you know if he finished his career with no trophies, it'll be hard to argue that point. As much as it is about individuality as well.
But collective achievement isn't got to do with an individual player.
Yeah, and I've often argued that, but you'd have to also say if a player, the greatest English striker, if he doesn't win a trophy,
It'll be a travesty.
It's not going to look good, is it?
It'll be
Let's
a travesty.
Be honest,
That's what it'll be.
Good,
It'll be a travesty. A super chat here from Jack Konecki says Kane will have a similar longevity to that of Zlatan. Zlatan is still banging the goals at 39. Why not? What's difference between Zlatan and Kane? Why can Zlatan go till he's 39 and still consistently score goals at the top level, but Kane can't?
I think he's a bit of a freak, to be honest, Zlatan. Yeah. And I think that's kind of quite exceptional, isn't it?
I think Kane is a freak. I think the way he's trained himself has made himself a freak. I think he's so... I don't know. I think Harry Kane can do whatever he wants. He's that good. He's like got an amazing first touch. He's so strong. He's got an amazing shooting technique. His passing ability has come on leaps and bounds. I mean, he's a striker that's got everything to his game. Maybe doesn't have that lightning pace, but apart from that, like you don't need that.
I think he's more injury prone than Zlatan as well. I think he gets bigger injuries.
I don't think so. Because Zlatan, when he was at United, had that big injury where he was ruled out for like 6 months. And he's consistently had injuries, Zlatan. I don't think he's more. I don't think Kane's less injury prone than Zlatan. More injury prone, I mean.
Kane seems to have one big injury almost every year, doesn't he? Which takes him out for like a couple months.
I know, but he's had a few ankle injuries, and he had that hamstring one in January. But he's still kept up his standards, I feel.
And do you think you think he's better than Rooney? Wayne Rooney. Go on. Do you want to argue that point?
Sure. Yeah, Rooney, I think if you put Harry Kane in that United side, he would also win a bucket load of trophies. I think, Rooney, the only thing he has on him is trophies, I think. I think Rooney was an exceptional footballer in his pomp. I think he was, in terms of dropping deeper and being that kind of second striker role. And even when he was a striker, he was really, really good. But I think in terms of consistency over a longer period of time and keeping up an elite level, I think Harry Kane has it over him. I think he's a better striker. I think Rooney...
That's your Spurs hat, man. That is your Spurs hat. You're wearing your Spurs hat on this one.
Why?
To say that Kane's better than Rooney is a punt. That's a
Rooney,
real punt.
Okay, talk about player in the big games. Rooney. He never did it. Well, got one goal in a World Cup. Why does that take into account?
Well, I think he's shown that over in the league performances, though, isn't he? For Man United.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you put Kane in those United teams, he probably also wins a bucket load of trophies.
Rooney was on a different level to Kane, I have to say. If I'm being honest, he was.
He was not.
He was, mate. He was. Come on, we've got to take. I'm the realist.
Why is that real?
You've got to take your Spurs hat off on this one. Rooney was electric. He was unplayable. He was another player that was unplayable, I have to say. You're looking up the stats. Statman's looking up Wayne Rooney's stats.
I'm just looking at Wayne Rooney over his career.
I think if we're all being honest, like
Rooney's going to be what Rooney was.
Prime Wayne Rooney is better than a prime Kane. You have.
Scored bucket loads in cup finals, semi-finals, all this kind of
Yeah.
Sorry, what was your last point?
I can't remember now. Ben said something. Statman, we got the stat man.
I was saying Rooney scored bucket loads.
Yeah, Rooney scored.
Yeah, but Rooney
scored the Champions League final.
He scored against but he was playing for a Man United side under Sir Alex Ferguson, one of the greatest sides of all time, right? Where won the back-to-back titles 3 times in a row. And look, fair enough, he was a big part of that. But I'm telling you, if Harry Kane was in that team instead of Wayne Rooney, I'm sure it would have been the same, if not better. I think Harry Kane is playing for a Tottenham side who always has to keep punching above their weight. That's what he's doing, and he's always having to exert himself even more than a player like Wayne Rooney did, I feel.
One thing I would say is Rooney did burn out by the time he hit about 27, I'd say. 26, 27, 28. I think then he started to... He'd actually had a lot of miles on the clock by then, you know, and then he kind of his career was over, I think.
He only had 2 seasons where he got over 20 goals.
It's not just about that.
But we're talking about strikers.
Yeah.
Surely their goals have to be their main currency, don't they?
Yeah. I don't know, but read them out.
What?
Why have you got the stats there?
What am I reading?
Goals. Premiership goals per season.
He got 11 in his first, then 16, 14, 12, 26, then 11, then 27, then 12, then 17, then 12, then 8, then 5. So it was quite varied in consistency. Whereas you look at Kane, and also in all those seasons, barring a couple, he played over 30 games. Wayne Rooney. So, but if you look at Kane, it's a lot more consistently high. 21, 25, 29, 30, then 17, 18, and now 17 at the moment. So it's all like Kane's worst season is 17, and that's like an average for Rooney. Is 17. Kane's worst season 17, and Rooney consistently was getting 11, 12, 12, 11, 12, 12, 8, 5. So like he had a lot of seasons worse than Kane. A lot of seasons, well, goal scoring terms anyway. And I think Kane is a lot more of a consistent goal scorer. And Rooney, but look, Rooney was more than goals. We know that. I'm not denying that.
It's like,
I know Rooney was more than goals, but as a striker, I think Kane is also more than goals. I think that's also an element maybe you don't give Kane enough credit for, because he's also more than goals, Harry Kane.
Yeah,
he also has an element
especially
like
this season. He's very effective this season.
Not just assists, though.
You cannot say that he's better
passion.
than. I don't think you can say that he's better than Rooney personally.
But why?
Especially, well, we have to agree the fact that
Rooney
his career was finished by the time he hit about 27.
Yeah, but
right?
that goes into how good a player is.
So you can argue a case that he doesn't have the longevity that potentially a Kane does, even though Kane's 27 right now. You can see Kane going longer than Rooney. I agree with you on that one. So if we're looking at just on longevity, you could argue a case for Kane. But if we're just talking about players in their prime, you would have to say Rooney's better. You would.
One sec, super chat here from Toretta. Rooney got into the World 11 in 2011. Kane should prove himself by getting into the World 11 this year. Let's go, Kane. Well, Kane outscored Messi and Ronaldo one year. I don't think Rooney ever did that. But I think it would have been more tough for Rooney to do it. But Rooney for England as well, if we're talking about for England, 120 appearances he took to get 53 goals, right? Kane is already on 33 in 52. So he's got a much better goal ratio than Rooney for England. He's much better for England.
There's strikers that have a better record than Kane for England.
Very few. I can't think of any.
Dixie Dean, maybe.
Dixie Dean.
Nat Lofthouse, I think, is one.
Well, Rooney's the top goal scorer ever for England, right? Rooney's top goal scorer ever for England, and so, like.
But also, you should look at that when he's 27 as well, because you have to accept that he's playing games when he's sort of like he's tailing off in his career. So what was his goals to game ratio by the time he was the same age as Kane? These are the sorts of things you have to bring into it to make it fair statistically.
I don't have that offhand.
I mean, Dixie Dean, there's an example of a striker all time, probably arguably better than Kane.
Okay, I don't know about Dixie Dean. Much before my time anyway. I never saw him play. But I think Kane, you can put a very good argument that he's the best English striker of the modern era. And
of the modern era. Yeah, I mean, of the modern era. You can argue a case. But what's the modern era? 20 years?
Since, I don't know. Past 20 years for sure. You can make a case for it. I think Owen as well. You say Owen. Owen wasn't even a good player past 24.
Yeah, but that period from like 17 to 24 was absolutely electric.
He was for him, but Kane was getting a lot more goals than Owen was.
Not at that age.
Yeah. Not at that age. What, 18, 19? Yeah, but Kane
18,
only broke
19,
in.
20, 21, 22.
Kane only
was
broke
a bit of a late bloomer.
21. He only broke into the team in 21.
And Owen was ripping it up
if you're talking about their first 3 seasons or something, I think Kane probably had more goals.
I'd say up until about 23, Owen was higher. If you're just looking at on goals, but
even for England, I think Kane might even be getting very close.
You could
to
say
Owen.
that Kane. You could argue that Kane is potentially, well, he's definitely the best Spurs striker of the modern era. Whether or not he's better than Rooney, that's an argument that that's a debate that will go on. But and Shearer as well. I mean, what does everyone think in the comments section? What do you think?
Ben Johnson says, by that logic, Lukaku is better than Drogba.
Which logic?
By my logic, I'm assuming he's saying that if you're looking at goals and stuff, because Lukaku has a better goal-scoring record than Drogba does, maybe. But I would say that Drogba... no, I think because Drogba had that unbelievable record in finals. I think 8 finals in a row he scored at Wembley. Look, Lukaku's a good player, though. I'm not... But I think...
I agree with Ethelston Edwardson. He says Shearer was awesome and very strong, stronger than Kane. Kane is knocked over much more easily than Kane, but I would still say Kane is a better all-round footballer than Shearer. I think we can agree on that. I think he is a better all-round footballer.
Yeah, Kane is a better all-round footballer than
maybe
Shearer.
There's common ground there.
but Shearer might be the better goal scorer. I can accept that.
I think we found common ground.
Bob Spurs says, honestly, can't believe we're having this conversation. Rooney was in decline by the same age Kane is now. You can't pinpoint seasons to judge a
I just
career,
said that.
and Kane is already... Is that what you read out?
I said that, no. I mentioned about him tailing
and
off
judge
when
a
he
career, and
hit
Kane
27.
is already a better player right now. Someone just says Robbie Keane.
Let's just should we just put Keane in?
Tony says
As
it's
the
like
best
saying
striker.
Eric Dyer is better than Van Dijk. What is like saying that? I wonder who's talking about. I don't know. I think Kane is. I think Kane can be disrespected. I think he's so good. I think you don't think he's world class, do you? Or you still don't.
It depends what world class means. What does world class mean to you? What are the parameters? What are the benchmarks? What are the guidelines?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, because I would say that world class has now changed, and you've now got world class and then GOAT level.
Oh yeah, you got Ronaldo,
you know what I mean?
Messi.
But it's like it's totally changed the scales, hasn't it? So it's almost like GOAT, then world class.
If you're like top 5
elite.
in your position, I guess, in your position in the world, you're world class.
Yeah, we were talking this
Or
before.
maybe top 10 even.
And I think that I would say being in the top 5 position, top 5 in the world in your position. I also think the ability to win a game on your own. I would also say the ability to rescue a game out of nothing, to score out of thin air. These are all the sorts of things that I would say makes a player
but you've got
world
players
class.
who can do that, but they can't do it consistently, and then they can only do it occasionally. Does that make them world class just because they could have the ability to do it?
I would say that for me, Kane has world class ability. That's how I differentiate it between world class and world class ability. Right now, Kane has world class ability. That's how that's the slight tweak I give it.
But he has world class ability, but
I wouldn't say I would say he's on the edge between world class. If we're talking if we're saying that world class is elite, if we're talking that elite, if we're talking the Mbappes, I would say he's flirting on that edge. I wouldn't say that he's like.
I think he's right bang in there.
Not for me. Not
he
this
has
season.
To be.
I would say you could argue that in 2017, but not. There's plenty of games this season. I mean, like we said before, I don't.
I'm sure you can point to 5 games.
Has he scored any worldies this season?
I'm sure I can point to 5 games. I'm sure I've watched every single PSG game this season. How many games they played? 35. I'm sure I can point to 5 where Mbappe's been anonymous. I'm sure I can.
Has Kane rescued us this season with a goal?
I can't off the top of my head.
Has he scored a worldie this season?
Yeah.
Like
against Palace, that was an absolute worldie. What else?
Yeah.
However, he's off the top of my head. How many worldies has Kane scored
this season?
I can't remember off the top of my head how many worldies he scored. I thought against Arsenal at home that was a really pretty good goal.
It's not a worldie, man.
It's not a worldie, but I don't know.
Do you not think a world class player should score worldies?
I think no. If you're getting in position and 10 times out of 10 you're finishing it from that position, or 9 times out of 10 you finish it every single time with dead accuracy, that's like world class ability. He is. He's top goal scorer in the league.
Yeah, but he's not scoring 9 times out of 10.
Okay. From certain positions he is, yeah, maybe not every shot, but if you give him a chance from certain positions, he'll score 9 times out of 10. Like for example, that goal against Sheffield United, he's outside the box, curling it into the far corner. From that kind of central position, give him 10 shots, he'll put in 9 of them. Like the guy has world class finishing ability.
I can see that he's lost a lot of sharpness personally, but what I would also say, he's adapted his game and he's playing more of a playmaker role, and he is more effective right now. And I think that is. Credit to him. He's able to adapt, and he has got his passing is brilliant. I have to say, Kane's distribution is absolutely fantastic. His range of passing. So he has got that about his game.
Wants me to look at a thread he posted. He's tagged me in. Kane is not outperforming his XG this season compared to his career average coming into this season.
Yeah.
140 goals from 115 XG. He is outperforming it by 10.4% this year to a career rate coming into this season of 20%. John is statistically correct. I'm not sure what point he's talking about. So he's saying before he used to outscore his XG and now he's not. So he's saying he used to be a deadlier finisher. But you could flip that around and say he might not be outperforming his XG, but maybe he's getting better chances now, whereas before he was putting away harder chances. So it doesn't mean he's being worse. It just means that the chances he's having now are better. So it means his XG is higher. So it doesn't mean he's not outperforming his XG because he's putting away the chances he's meant to. Whereas before,
I think he's been a bit sluggish, especially in the last few games. I think he hasn't looked sharp. You know, you can go all the way back to even just like the Liverpool game where he missed that header. I think, you know, a few years ago we'd have buried that. He just doesn't have that same. How would you say?
You're picking individual things.
No, it's not just individuals.
You are.
I've been looking at over the course of the season. He hasn't looked totally sharp for me.
But
and
who
I think
has?
it's not that I'm not
Who
I'm
has?
not hating him.
I
I'm
know,
just
but
being-
who has
I'm just
looked overly sharp?
I'm just trying to be as honest as I can when I see it. I think Son's been really sharp. I think he's been
Sharper than
super
Kane?
sharp. Yeah.
But he's
in
looked
front of
tired.
goal.
You said he looked tired.
Yeah, but exactly. But over the last few games, his energy's dropped and he's looked really jaded. And then he got
Okay.
the injury, and
So
I
you
predicted
don't-
his injury a
so
week before.
you don't give the same
So-
courtesy to Kane as you to Son.
His season, I would say he hasn't been as sharp in front of goal as Son has this season. I would say Son's looked sharper in front of goal this season. Personally, I would say.
Son's looked sharper in front of goal.
Yeah.
But Kane has more
Dennis,
goals.
Dennis Lee. I'm not hating. I'm just trying to be honest. You know, it's very easy to wear my Spurs hat and just say everyone's amazing. Blah, blah, blah. But I'm just trying to really call it objectively how I see it, examine it
Adam
objectively.
1882 says John always thinks he's the smartest in the room. Cody Mack says Son has outperformed his XG by 4.2. Kane has by 1.6. So that's meaning Son is scoring harder chances than Kane is, basically. That's the point. Yeah, but
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, fair enough. Look, I'm
Yeah.
not saying. Look, I think Son's also had an amazing
Yeah,
season.
I think Son has been spectacular in front of goal this season. Really super sharp.
Yeah, but
razor sharp.
I think Kane as well has been fantastic in front of goal. And I think his season, you can't underestimate how good his season's been for me, Harry Kane. I think you could say he's been one of the best in Europe. Like his play, 40 goals from 40. He's got 40 goals, 40 goal contributions from 40 games. Like you can't. Yeah, you can say it's not only stats, but he isn't only stats. So I'm saying he's also bringing everything extra as well as that. You know, every corner we defend, he's there at the near post. Every time we I don't know. He's also got that amazing hold up ability to if you give the ball to him, he can hold off
good.
defenders and pass it out of play. Like
Someone's put Spurs the best. John, who is better, 16, 17 Kane or Prime Rooney? Yeah, that for me is much closer. Yeah. I would still give that to Rooney personally. I'm just being honest, you know.
Okay, no, I get your opinion. I think you had a more of a
It's
case.
easy for me to say all your Spurs players are the best, isn't it? It's so
I
easy
think
as a Spurs fan
think
to
you
say
had
that.
more of a case because I actually agreed with you
Mm.
when we had this debate. I can't remember when we had this debate if Kane is world class.
Mm.
We had that debate maybe 18 months. When was that? In lockdown,
Mm.
we had that debate, and I agreed with you. That was before lockdown. That Kane maybe hasn't been looking sharp for a couple of years, and maybe injuries have been taking his toll. And I did agree with you, but I think ever since lockdown has ended and he's come back, I disagree with you. I think he's actually reached a new level, and he's reached back to his peak, which he was. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And I think for those couple years where maybe he wasn't at his fastest and his sharpest, I think you had a point, but I think that point is being undermined by this season.
Do you not think the injuries have affected his game at all?
They did? I think they did.
But do you think that this is just him adapting to that?
Yeah.
Mm.
I think he's now just as effective as he ever was, in my opinion. Because before,
It's totally different though, isn't it? The way he plays now.
it's different, but he's still doing. It is different because before he was kind of an all-action striker, or like getting shots from all angles, right? And that dipped, but that dip isn't there anymore. He's now reaching those amount of shots he used to get back in 2017. Like he is taking that amount of shots now. He is being a lot. He is getting those energy levels back up, and he's added those assists to his game as well. So I don't see him being any less of a player as he was before. I think he did take a dip for maybe 18 months, but I think ever since lockdown's come back, I do think he's back to those levels.
I think he's definitely picked it up, and I'm surprised by that. I thought that he was sort of tailing off a little bit, like we said in that video. But I do credit to Kane. He's sort of brought so many different dimensions to his game this year that he's the all-action hero, isn't he?
Yeah.
You've got to give him that. Yeah, you've got to give him that.
Sam Fletcher, Kane is top goal scorer in the league and nearly broke an assist record in a season. If he did all that whilst not looking sharp, surely that shows how class he is.
Sorry?
It says Kane is top goal scorer in the league and nearly broken the assist record in a season. If he did all that whilst not looking sharp, surely that shows how class he is.
I think a lot of that's down to Sonaldo as well.
Sonaldo?
Yeah.
But you can say a lot of
So I think
Sonaldo's
the
down to
chemistry of their
Kane.
partnership, they made each other look good.
You think Kane needs Son more than Son needs Kane?
They need each. They've got the record partnership this year, haven't they?
They have.
Yeah. So I think that definitely played a part in their.
I'm saying you're saying a lot of that is down to Son, but you don't think a lot of Son's brilliance is down to Kane.
No, it is.
It is
the
down
passing,
to Kane.
yeah. The partnership, the chemistry, yeah.
Okay.
You'd agree with that, wouldn't you? The fact that the chemistry
not-
was so
yeah,
good that
the
it was like
chemistry is
they
great,
were
but-
brilliant for each other, especially at the beginning part of the season. Now they're looking a little bit more tired. You're not seeing that same partnership, are you? Over the last few weeks.
Yeah, maybe. Surav Pathak says, John is being honest. I agree. Son is sharp this season. I don't agree with folks who think scoring goals makes Sonny better and not scoring makes him less sharper. That's actually stupid. Okay. Spurs the best says, would you rather 4-4-2 with Prime Rooney and 16-17 Kane or Prime Rooney and Prime Owen?
Oh, that's a good one.
I think Prime Kane. 16-17 Kane.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's about the same for me, I'd say.
Kane has a lower chance creation. Chance creation or convert? He says lower chance creation than Son. Tap in terms. Sim and John, do you think we can win the Euros with Shitgate, or do you think we need a new manager? Big up, Tap in terms.
It's a shame that got hidden, that one, but we could still read that one.
I think Southgate.
He's too much of a yes man. Let's be honest.
I think
Southgate is too much of a yes man.
I think the great thing Southgate did in 2018 was he created a culture which brought the country together and brought everyone before that feel-good factor back, because that feel-good factor had completely gone from ever supporting the country. No one was even looking forward to that World Cup. No one cared about international tournaments, and that's what he did. However, since then, I think what we're seeing is he is a bit tactically naive. He doesn't know how to get all his best players into the team and play and set up in a way that gets the best out of these players. And I think playing a very defensive formation a lot of the time, like he does, like when he plays his 3 centre-backs and 2 defensive mids, when he has all this attacking talent in the squad, I think doesn't unlock the real potential of what we have in the squad. I think you have to try and get as many attacking players as you can in this squad, because I think the squad is so top heavy. I think the team should replicate that. I think he has to obviously get another chance, another tournament, which he will do this summer, to see how good he really is. But I just feel like a lot of the times the football we play and the way we play is not what we should, is not the levels that we should with the players we have a lot of the time, I feel. I don't think he's done anything that wrong where he should be sacked, but I do feel like if this summer, if we don't have a good tournament, I think it is time to part ways, in my opinion, with Southgate.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the one thing that he's got going for him is there's a better philosophy now in terms of the overall togetherness of the squad. Whereas in the past, if you watch some of the interviews with Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, when they talk, and Gerrard, when they talk about what it was like to turn up for England, they would go to the canteen and they would sit on different tables and they wouldn't talk to each other because they still had the Chelsea United rivalry. You know what I mean? Liverpool
exactly, rivalry. And it's different.
They
now.
all talk about that, and it's completely different now. The culture's different with the England squad. For some reason, there's a lot more togetherness. I think maybe that might also have something to do with the fact that it's no longer as competitive at the top of the Premier League, you know, with your likes of your Arsenals, your Liverpools and your Chelseas and your Uniteds. It's a bit different now, isn't it? So that might play a part with it. So you'd have to say that the overall culture is helping Southgate, but for me, he's not a great manager.
Yeah, I don't think he's a great manager. And I remember there were times like when after the World Cup where they were linking him with the United job and all that, and I always thought that was a bit far-fetched. Don't forget, guys, make sure you scroll down and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. It really does help us support the channel and help us with the YouTube algorithms, and it helps it be seen. So make sure if you're enjoying the content, scroll down and smash that like button and hit subscribe as well if you're enjoying the content. We do daily uploads every single day. We follow Spurs through the highs and the lows throughout every season, so make sure you scroll down and smash that like button as well. So really, really do appreciate that. Let's read some of the other comments. Effelston Edwardson: Gareth Southgate at least tries to win matches. I like Roy Hodgson as a person, but he was as bad as Kevin Keegan and Glenn Hoddle as a manager. In terms of managers, Roy Hodgson had Harry Kane taking corners. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, does it?
It doesn't make
It
sense,
doesn't make
but
sense.
have you heard his?
What was the reason? I mean,
his reasoning is because Kane.
He's got
Exactly,
great
Kane
technique,
was a great striker of the ball,
Yeah.
and Kane was the best striker of the ball in the squad, so he could take the best corner. So for them, they thought he was better having him taking the corners. But obviously, he's one of the best headers of the ball in the squad as well. So for me, it'd be worth having him in the box. But do you see the logic in that? What do you think of that kind of logic?
Well, that makes me think, why can't we let Son take some free kicks? You know, because he's got good technique.
He does have good technique.
Yeah.
But do you think if you're a good striker of the ball, like even if for example, I remember Didier Drogba, despite him being an amazing header of the ball, like he used to, like when Chelsea had free kicks, he a lot of the time used to take them because he was such a good technique on the ball. Like, do you not think if we could, that could be the same for Harry Kane?
What, for England or for Spurs?
Any, yeah.
No, I'd want him in the box personally. Yeah.
Do you not think he's that good of a striker of the ball, or is that irrelevant?
It's just a corner for me. I think there's plenty of other people who could whip in a corner, and I think it's good to have him in the area. The fact that he gets in defends corners would say to me that his aerial presence is important.
That's an interesting question from Tapping Tobes. He says, Sim and John, do you think Graham Potter would make a good England manager with the squad? I actually am a big fan of, Graham Potter, he's manager of Brighton. I'm a big fan of Graham Potter, and I think he plays really good football. And I think
it's good football. I have to say, I was impressed by the way that they played against us. Very impressed.
They play really good football. Even in the home game, I remember they played really good football against us. And he does have his team, even with worse players, playing well. Their biggest problem, Brighton, is putting the chances away. That's always been their biggest problem. And I do believe that if he was England manager, he could do well with us.
I've got this way of looking at it, right, where there's managers that do really well with teams on a shoestring, but then when they step up, they don't do very well. You know, they struggle when they've got to deal with really elite star players. You've seen that in the past where Spurs have hired managers on that basis, and they've totally flunked. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, he's got to prove himself a little bit more.
He does at a better club. Yeah. I agree with that. Do you think
Eddie Howe for Prime Minister?
Eddie Howe for Prime Minister, yeah, right. Here is Harry Kane's goals, excluding pens and misses this season. He has 13 open play goals from 8.9 xG. I would say at least 2 of those goals were keeper error. I don't think the Ramsdale one was keeper error. The bigger circle is the higher xG.
How many goals from outside the area has he scored? Yeah,
that's pretty good. It's pretty good, I think, for a striker like that. For a striker who does also get a lot of his fair share of in-the-box goals and takes penalties and gets assists, I think getting 4 from outside the box is pretty good.
Hi, Joe. Caddy Walt. Have I been baited?
Maybe. Joe Caddy, I don't know. I can't see. Where is it? In terms of this whole narrative about Harry Kane, he needs to leave to win big trophies.
All right, do you want to talk about that? Yeah.
What do you think of that?
He's 27 now, isn't he? He's coming into, let's say, the twilight part of his career, I would say. Or at least, we'd all agree this is the peak of his career, 27.
I think you could argue that, but as I said, I think he has longevity. I think he'll be...
As in he's not going to get better, is what I'm saying.
Probably not get better. Probably not, but you never know. I'm saying, look at Lewandowski. He's getting more goals than ever now, and he's 33. It can happen, is my point.
Sandy A, you're not gonna like me then. What I'm about to say. I love Kane, right? And it's not just because he's a Spurs, because he puts on the Spurs shirt, right? I actually want to see him win some trophies. I really do, because it would be embarrassing if he goes his whole career and he doesn't win anything. And I do want to see him go, and if he can't do it with us, I do want to see him do it with another club. I do. I know people would say, "Oh, if he left us, I couldn't give a shit about him," but I genuinely want that person to win something. It's fair for him. I mean, in a way, he doesn't deserve us. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, especially.
But he's not. But you're saying he's not world class.
Oh God, Stevie.
What? I am. Well, if he's not world class, why are Spurs not beholden to a non-world class player? Are we not good enough for a player who's not world class?
For someone like Harry Kane, you can argue whether he's elite, GOAT level, world class ability. Someone like Harry Kane, he deserves to go his whole career at least winning something, don't you think?
Of course, I agree with that, 'cause I think he's world class.
If he doesn't believe in the philosophy and the belief in what's going on now, I think it's fair if he started looking elsewhere.
That's different. But apparently he's one of the players still on side with Mourinho, though. Do you
think he's happy to stay?
Do I think he's happy? I think a lot depends on how we end the season. I think if we end the season really poorly and we mid-table with no trophy, no cup, Carling Cup, then of course he's not going to be happy. But if we do end the season well, we do say get in the top 4 and win a trophy. I know it's a big ask.
Fifth and not winning the League Cup.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be happy.
Right.
He's not going to be happy. Look, whether he's not happy enough to an extent where he asks to leave is another question. And obviously it depends who pays, if anyone's around to pay the money and stuff like that. I always think with football clubs, I know Spurs haven't won a trophy for so long, and there's always this narrative around Tottenham. But I always think you're not as far from success as you think you are, and you're not as far from crisis as you think you are. I think it can always be very fine lines either way. It can be very fine lines either way, and I do think if Kane would stay, and I do think if we get some investment in the summer, we can have a good season next season. We can push for things. It's a lot dependent on the people above him, which he would need convincing to stay. Can I see Kane pushing for a move? I don't know.
If you were Harry Kane right now and had to make a decision to stay or leave, what would you do? One word answer. Sim.
Right now, as in
one word.
This point.
Yeah.
This as in this point in the
Sandy
season.
Said. I thought that was pretty good. He says, Sim and John, if you were Harry Kane right now and had to make a decision to stay or leave, what would you do? One word answer.
If I was Harry Kane, honestly, I'd leave. Right now. As in before we know the end of the season.
This is still one word, Simmy.
I'm trying to qualify the question.
No,
I'm not giving an answer. I like specifics.
Packaging it.
I like giving specifics. I probably would look to leave because I think a player of his ability and quality deserves to be playing Champions League football. A player of his ability should be challenging for major trophies every season, like the league title. And I think him being in and around the mid-table is nowhere near good enough for a striker like him. 100%. And if you're a top club, if you're a club looking to challenge for league titles, and you're looking around at who's available at clubs who aren't in Champions League, Kane is going to be top of your list. So yeah, I would look to leave, but there's a lot of qualifiers around it. I would look to leave if I was Harry Kane because at the moment nothing's happening. However,
stop being so negative.
But if you look, John, if you ask me at the end of the season if I'm Harry Kane and we got Champions League and we won the cup, right? And at the end of the season, would I still look to leave?
If we finish fourth, I think he will stay. He'll want to stay, and I think he'd want to stay. I think, yeah.
I think so. I don't think he would push to leave, for example, to go to Man United. I don't think that would happen. No. I think he might do it. If City came in for him, he might, but I don't think for Man United he would.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I don't think there's that much more of a guarantee of trophies right now there than there is here. I don't anyway. Personally, I really don't.
My answer's leave. Unfortunately,
I think at the moment it has to be because the way we're going, we're sixth in the table. We can't exactly say this is where a player like Harry Kane should be.
Someone said, well, "Who's the best player that I've seen at Spurs?" Can't remember who said that, but
who is the best player you've seen at Spurs?
I would say. Who's the best Spurs player you've seen over one season or a whole Spurs career? I would say Paul Gascoigne.
Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah. That's the best. He's the best I've seen.
Second best?
In one season? David Ginola. Yep. Thank you, Ben, yeah.
Was Ginola better than Bale? Prime Bale.
Actually, yeah. Good point, Sim. Good point. Well made. Well made. Well made that man. Well made that man. Yeah. Actually, could be Bale, actually. It could be. I think it's Gaza, Bale, Ginola in that order. Like 1, 2, 3.
You think they're all better than Harry Kane?
Yep.
Without question.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, he won. Look at them all. I mean, Bale cleaned up with the Player of the Year award, FIFA Players Player of the Year award, didn't he? Writers Player of the Year award. So did Ginola that year.
Scott Parker won that 1 year when he got relegated. They got relegated.
He didn't win all of the didn't win all the accolades, did he?
He was talking about player and young player.
Ginola and Bale, they cleaned up, didn't they?
There's only one. There's only Player of the Year, Player and Players Player of the Year.
Yeah, and Writers Player of the Year.
Yeah. Okay.
And he won, and Ginola won all three, and so did Bale, I think. Could be wrong on that. Yeah.
Okay. What? So, yeah, but I don't know. I don't think.
And Gaza was. Gaza was another.
I remember Ryan Giggs once played 13 games in a season and won it. Like I don't know. I don't look at who won Player of the Year and.
Well, what about in the chat section? Who's the best player that you've seen over one season, Just put the name.
I
of who
think
you
Kane would be in
be.
my top 3.
People say Van der Vaart.
No, Van der Vaart wouldn't be in my top 3.
Who do you
although
think?
much
Who,
I love.
who would you say for just one season? Bent. Peaceman's gone for Bent.
Berbatov, you know, he
Doherty.
might be up there for me.
Klinsmann. Klinsmann is also unbelievable.
Klinsmann, unfortunately, I never got to.
Gomez.
Matt Doherty, someone says.
You can't put 3. Everyone's. Oh, they're putting the order. Okay, you see, putting the order. Yeah. Okay.
Kane, Simon, John. If you were Harry, yeah, that's what you said.
Winks. A few winks there for you, Sim.
Harry Winks, yeah.
Modric's last season for us.
Modric.
Very good. Yeah.
That's I like.
Do you want to talk about Winks?
Not particularly.
Well, that's just throwing that one up.
He's let me down, Harry Winks. He's let me down. Unfortunately, it is what it is with
You're
Harry
going to take
Winks.
him off the back of your shirt now.
I don't have him on my shirt. Thank you very much. Thankfully, Darren Bent.
They want to hear it. They
says,
want to talk Winks. They say.
Dembele is a beast, the best player I have seen. This is the best Tottenham channel, in my opinion. Big up, KD World. Big up to you.
Michael Owen won Ballon d'Or as well.
He didn't actually win it, did he?
He won it.
Did he win it?
Yeah, Michael Owen won Ballon d'Or.
He won it?
Yeah.
We've got a super chat here. What was that?
Crouchy. What about Crouchy?
Toretta says,
Jermaine
do you guys mind
Bobby
Kane
Zamora.
going to Man City? I mean, I mind.
I would prefer that to Man United for some reason.
As a Spurs fan, I mind. But as someone who loves Harry Kane, I wouldn't mind that much. I think you are right. I think he did win Ballon d'Or, didn't he? Or it was called European Player of the Year back then. He did win it, but what? Because that was when they won UEFA Cup, was it? Well,
I think that was. I don't know what year that was. I think it was when he was 21. I could be wrong on that, but
no, he was runner-up to Zidane.
I thought he won Ballon d'Or.
Did he win Ballon d'Or?
Ben, did Michael Owen win Ballon d'Or? I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, he did.
When did he win Ballon d'Or?
I think in '98 or something.
It says here what he come. Oh, and European Player of the Year. Yeah, so he became second to Zidane in World Player of the Year, and won the European Player of the Year in.
Kane done that? Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't win. Did he win it?
He won Ballon d'Or in 2001.
Yeah, 2001. There you go, 2001.
Yeah.
He beat Raoul and Oliver Kahn.
Raoul. Yeah, but Thierry Henry never won a Ballon d'Or. You saying Owen's better than Henry? Like, come on.
Henry was, yeah.
Exactly. So you can't. That's not.
No, I didn't say it was a. I didn't.
No.
I just mentioned it.
Second.
Who, Henry?
Yeah.
Yeah, he never won it.
Yeah, but Kane hasn't even come second.
All right.
Third.
No, he hasn't.
Gaza not going to 98 still really upsets me actually.
To 98, but
The
wasn't he
98
washed
World
up by
Cup.
then?
No, he still had something about him then. That still kind of grates on me a little bit.
Okay. Let's see it.
Things to wrap this up.
All right.
Any
Any more
final-
tweets? Yeah, I think that's it. No one else. All right, guys. It's been a spirited debate. I've enjoyed every second of it. I do appreciate all your comments, all your super chats, all your tweets sending in. I loved everyone getting involved. If Harry Kane is the best ever England striker, it's definitely something to discuss. I enjoyed debating John with it. Just want to say one more time that to Claude and all his family and friends, rest in peace, Claude, and he's going to be sorely missed in the football community. So I just want to end on that note. But thank you everyone for joining us, and as always,
Come on,
you
you
Spurs.
Spurs.